When we speak about love, we often speak about it as though it were something we could own, something we could grasp tightly in our hands and keep forever. But the truth is, love was never meant to be possessed. The moment we try to hold it too tightly, it begins to slip through our fingers like sand. Love is not a cage, it's a breeze. It's something that moves freely, something that breathes. To love someone deeply does not mean to claim them. It means to recognize the miracle of their presence in your life and to let them exist as they are, unbound, unconfined, and free. You see, we've been taught from a very young age that love must come with attachment, that to love someone means to make them ours. But that kind of love is not love at all. It's possession. It's the ego trying to turn another human being into a reflection of its own desires. And in doing so, we suffocate the very thing we claim to adore. When you say, "You are mine," you are not expressing love, you are expressing fear. Fear that they might leave, fear that you might be alone, fear that without them, you are incomplete. But love that depends on fear is fragile. It cannot survive. When you love without attachment, you begin to see the other person for who they truly are, not for what they provide you. You no longer love them because they make you happy. You love them because their existence itself is beautiful. You stop asking, "What do I get from this person?" And instead you begin to ask, "What can I give?" That's when love becomes sacred. It's no longer a transaction. It's a gift. To love without attachment means to allow love to be as vast as the sky, not confined within the walls of your expectations. It means to see love as an energy that flows through you, not something you can store away. When you try to possess it, you destroy its nature. Just as you cannot trap the wind in a jar, you cannot trap love within the boundaries of ownership. The moment you do, it ceases to be love, it becomes control. Look around at the way most people love. There's always a hidden "if." I will love you if you stay, if you don't change, if you keep loving me the same way. But love with conditions is not love. It's a contract. And contracts may keep you safe, but they will never make you free. Real love is freedom. It allows the other to be as they are, even when that means they must walk a different path. It trusts the natural flow of life. Because if love is real, it doesn't need to be forced. It doesn't need chains to remain. And when you understand this, something incredible happens. You stop chasing permanence, and you start appreciating presence. You begin to realize that love isn't about forever. It's about now. You learn to savor the fleeting moments, the laughter, the silence, the subtle glances that can only exist in this very instant. The beauty of love lies not in its duration, but in its depth. And the more you try to make it last, the more you lose the essence of what it was meant to be. To love without attachment is to love courageously, because it demands that you open your heart without knowing if it will be held or broken. But that's the risk that makes love alive. If you only love with the guarantee of return, then what you feel is not love, it's security. Love is the willingness to give your heart without asking for anything in return. And in that vulnerability, you discover your strength, because only the one who is free within can love freely. When you let go of possession, you allow love to mature. You begin to see that love doesn't diminish when you release it. It expands. It reaches beyond the boundaries of the self, beyond the need to own or be owned. You stop being afraid of losing people, because you realize you never truly had them in the first place. You only ever had moments with them, beautiful, living moments that exist in the space between two souls. And those moments are enough. The paradox is that when you no longer cling, love stays. It stays not because you forced it, but because it feels safe in your openness. When people know they are free to go, they often choose to stay. When love is not demanded, it is offered. And what is offered freely is always more genuine than what is taken by force. So, to love without attachment is not to love less. It's to love more purely. It is to love in a way that liberates both you and the other person. It's to say, I see you. I don't need to own you. I simply love that you exist. That is the highest form of love. The kind that doesn't seek to grasp but to understand, not to possess but to appreciate, not to imprison but to let free. Because when love is free, it doesn't end. It transforms. It becomes part of everything. And that is when you realize love was never something to hold. It was always something to be. To love without attachment does not mean to shut yourself off from emotion. It doesn't mean becoming cold, distant, or detached from the beauty of connection. It means something far deeper, the ability to love fully, without the weight of expectations. Most people confuse attachment with love, thinking that if they care deeply, they must also hold tightly. But love is not a chain that binds, it's a space that allows both souls to breathe. When you let go of expectations, love becomes lighter, purer, and infinitely more peaceful. Attachment is rooted in the idea that love must give us something, security, validation, or comfort. We cling to the idea that the other person must behave a certain way, must stay, must return our affection in equal measure. But that is not love, that is a deal. And when love becomes transactional, it loses its essence. The truth is, you can't demand love, you can only invite it. You can't mold someone into your idea of who they should be and still call that love. Because the moment you do, you've stopped seeing them for who they are and started seeing only your reflection in them. To love without attachment means you stop expecting others to fill the spaces within you that you have not yet filled yourself. You stop measuring love by how much attention you receive or how often someone reassures you. You start realizing that the purpose of love is not to fix your loneliness, but to help you discover beauty within your solitude. When you love from fullness, you are no longer needy, you are giving from abundance, not desperation. You are no longer trying to control what love gives you, but allowing it to unfold naturally. Expectations are the silent destroyers of love. They create a kind of tension that pulls joy out of the simplest moments. You expect them to text, to call, to stay, to understand, and when they don't, your mind begins to suffer. But the suffering doesn't come from their actions, it comes from your own mental image of what they should have done. You fall in love with an idea, not a person. To love without attachment is to let go of those ideas, to stop demanding that love follow a script. Love has no script. It doesn't move in straight lines or predictable patterns. It's wild, spontaneous, and alive. That's what makes it real. Think of a flower. It blooms not because it expects anything from the sun or the rain, but simply because that is its nature. Love is the same. When you love freely, you give because love itself moves through you. You don't give to receive, you give because giving feels natural. And the beautiful irony is, when you stop expecting love in return, it flows back to you in ways you never imagined. Because people can sense when they are loved freely, without pressure, without fear. They feel safe in your presence because you're not trying to pull anything from them. You're simply there, open, giving, allowing. This kind of love doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you stop wanting or stop feeling. It simply means you accept what is, rather than clinging to what should be. You see, the difference between attachment and love is the difference between grasping and holding gently. When you grasp, you create tension. When you hold gently, there is grace. Love, in its purest form, is graceful. It doesn't demand that the other person stays. It only invites them to share the journey for as long as they wish to walk beside you. The moment you release expectations, you create space. Space for growth, for understanding, for truth. You start seeing the other person as an individual, not a projection of your desires. You begin to appreciate their differences, their freedom, their changes. You no longer panic when they pull away slightly, because you understand that distance doesn't mean disconnection. You trust the rhythm of love, its ebb and flow. You stop chasing constant reassurance and start finding peace in the silent presence of what simply is. Many people fear this kind of love because it feels uncertain. They think that without expectations, love will drift away. But the opposite is true. Love without expectations is the only kind of love that endures. It doesn't crumble when the circumstances change, because it was never built on conditions to begin with. It exists freely, like the wind, invisible, yet undeniably there. When you let go of expectations, something extraordinary happens inside you. You start to notice love in everything. In the way sunlight falls through the trees, in the sound of laughter, in the quiet understanding between souls who need no words. You realize that love was never something